Disclaimer: I am not a game developer, designer, programmer, or creator. I am not a professional by any means. I am just someone who likes horror games and enjoys analyzing the things that I like. Also, this video contains scenes that some may not find suitable, potential seizure warnings, disturbing audio, and spoilers for Nun Massacre. Howdy! I'm the 256th in the line of Taster, and I'm busy carrying on the tradition of the search for the perfect horror game, a series which yearns to study horror games in a quest for the hypothetical perfect horror game, analyzing horror games to see what they do right and what they do wrong. This leg of the journey is going to be looking at Nun Massacre, and we'll be focusing on how it manages sound design, because oh my god, this game has phenomenal sound design and uses it well. Nun Massacre was made by Puppet Combo Games and released on September 29th, 2018, and is made in the style of a PS1 game. In it, you play as one Mrs. McDonald, a woman who receives a letter from the boarding school your daughter is at, saying that she is sick and your presence is required. You go to the school and climb up the long and precarious road leading in. Getting there, you see the absolute size of the building and head on inside. Once inside, you realize that the door is locked behind you and you cannot escape, meaning you must explore the place and try to find out exactly what is going on, and also find another way out. But as always, you are not alone. At first you are, as you can safely explore the second floor without much incident. And on the second floor, the game gives you a lighter, a rock, and a plank of wood. All of this is to let you get used to the controls, understand how the inventory works, and set you up for what is to come next. While here, you also find a note written by your daughter telling you of her time here, and you get to see the general layout of each floor. All of this happens slowly, and it will stay like this until you move on to the next floor by solving a simple puzzle. You must take the plank you found and lay it across the barbed wire pit to let yourself across. Don't fall in, it's not as much fun as it seems. From here, the game really gets started. Trailing the stairs all the way up, you can see that there are at least 5 floors, meaning that this is a sizable place. Going to the 3rd floor, you finally get to start the game proper, running around, collecting strange tools to solve different puzzles, hiding from the nun, getting caught, running away, being terrified, running in the vents, dear god she can crawl in the vents, oh my god she has a knife, rinse and repeat. The game is fun, and I think its strongest suit is the sound design, and I will talk about that now. Alright, so as much as I want to just geek out over the nun, who's actually not Mother Apollonia, I think, unlike what I originally understood, I'm gonna wait to get into all of that. To start, let's take a look at the general atmosphere. Throughout the game, when just standing around with nothing happening, there is no sound. It's dead quiet. Which makes sense, as this is an empty building with only 2 people in it to make any sounds. This means that when you do hear sounds, they feel more intense. For example, when you make these sounds, you know that they will be easy to hear. But when you hear a sound that you didn't make, that tells you that something is happening. On top of this, there is the thunder, which strikes every once in a while. It's loud and sudden, as thunder tends to be, and tends to put you on edge. It has also managed to get me a few times, but it's done well so that it doesn't feel cheap. First of all, you can see in the opening that it's raining, and may even thunder while you're outside, setting up the knowledge that a thunderstorm is occurring. Second of all, any thunder you hear is led first by a strike of lightning, lighting up the area. This serves as a split-second warning, making it to where the sound of thunder, at least to me, doesn't feel cheap. It also doesn't happen enough to get annoying. It seems to always happen just after I've forgotten about its happening. There are also the sounds of the player, Mrs. McDonald. The sounds that you make are quiet and subtle, not really something to notice. But when nothing else is happening, there's no sound to be heard, and there could be someone listening, the footsteps you make can be quite unnerving. Adding to that is the sound of using items. Some of them are reasonably quiet. Some of them make a bit of noise. Some of them are noisy. And some of them are the loudest things you've ever heard. Having to use these items, especially when there's a threat nearby, gets nerve-wracking. You just don't know if you're drawing someone close with how much noise you make. And then there's the fact that after you're done with an item, you'll probably want to drop it to make room for more items, meaning you'll have to make noise, but you may want to drop it in a specific place so you know where to find it later if you need it again. So you go to a safe spot and drop it, But now you've just made noise at your position, so the safe spot is no longer safe, and you can't just drop into the vents because, as we said before, she can go in those. If you can't tell, I don't like how she enters the vents. Speaking of her, the nun. The nun. Oh, the nun. Sound warning, by the way. I'll say it again before it's relevant. The nun is the main threat of the game, and will chase you around wherever you go. When she is close, but hasn't seen you, your screen gets this static effect. This comes out of nowhere, and even if it's your first time playing and you know nothing about this game, it tells you that something is happening, and you should probably do something. The static itself isn't loud, and sometimes I'm so distracted I don't even notice it, but it's still quiet like the rest of the game. It's good at telling you to act. If you don't act, or act the wrong way, this happens. Sound warning now. I have no clue how this audio was made. I don't want to know, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was created by actually torturing people and shoving microphones down their throat. Everything up until this point has been quiet. Sure, some items and actions may have made some noise, but that was all short and at a reasonable volume. Even the nun, with her warning static and the noises she makes walking around and opening doors, is quiet. The loudest thing in the game up until this point is probably the thunder, and even then, that's somewhat muted by your being inside. But Puppet Combo Games has decided to save all the sound they weren't using for this moment right here, and it plays every time she chases you. I had watched the YouTuber Nico the Circle play this game a couple years before I played it myself, and even though I remembered very little of his playthrough, I remembered the nun's sound. It made me genuinely terrified to do anything when her stupid static popped up, letting me know I could kiss my working years goodbye. I'm getting distracted. This sound is good. One of the biggest flaws I find when playing horror games is that, if there are chases, I typically have a momentary, "oh no," when it starts, but that quickly fades, leaving me feeling less scared, because the fact that I can run away takes away from the horror. Usually this is countered by having the chase itself be difficult, where I'm running as fast as I can while whatever is chasing me is right behind me. And although Nun Massacre has that, I never lose that "oh no" feeling, as the sound of being chased manages to keep me terrified the whole time. And the chases themselves are great, with the sound only adding to it. Often, the nun comes out of nowhere, meaning you're not ready for the chase. And although you can see well enough, even without the lighter, everything happening in that moment causes a wild sense of desperation, where you're fumbling through the darkness trying to find a safe place to hide. Nun Massacre is a PS1-style horror game released in September of 2018 by Puppet Combo Games, where you must explore an empty boarding school that your daughter was sent to try and find a way out, solving puzzles, figuring out what happened to your daughter, all while being chased by a killer nun. It is a phenomenal horror game that is both fun to play and genuinely scary. Some of the textures are a little wonky with how they move, but that's not too big of an issue. It can also be hard to see what's going on, depending on if you have any filters on, but those can just be deactivated in the options menu. It also has the same puzzles and tools as Stay Out of the House, another Puppet Combo game, but it uses them in different ways, and has such a different map that they still work as good puzzles. Anywho, I rate Nun Massacre a 9 out of 10. It is a wonderfully terrifying horror game, and my only serious complaint is that there is no save option. It's a relatively short game, beaten in around an hour, but it sucks to start playing, stopping for whatever reason, and then having to start over again when you open it up. But aside from that, it's a great game. Also, I want to share this moment from my first playthrough, when I was still getting used to the controls. So, I heard the nun while crawling through the vents, so I turned around to get away from her. I hadn't seen her yet and had forgotten that the vents were not safe. Anywho, I turned around to get away from her, and BAM! There she is, in the room I thought was safe. I jumped in real life, and accidentally hit the inventory button. So I panicked, trying to remember what button closed out the inventory and where it was. About this time, I saw her move, and realized that time wasn't frozen while I was in the inventory. This is when I remembered that the vents were not safe. I hoped that she wouldn't see me, as I was crouching in the dark, still trying to get out of my inventory, when all of a sudden her horrible sound started and she hit me. I couldn't really tell what was happening and got so scared that I basically just gave up and let her kill me. So yeah, I think this game is scary. And that's that. I've been really excited about this video, as this is the first video I feel the topic of discussion was perfect for the game of interest. The other videos were chosen because I feel they were really good examples of what the video is about, but I really think that no game has better sound design than Nun Massacre, at least regarding making it scary, and I've been excited to talk about it. I want to say thank you to Nico the Circle for letting me mention you in this video. Not only did he have a wonderful playthrough of Nun Massacre, but he also had a great playthrough of Stay Out of the House and many other horror games. If you want to see more of either of these games but won't play them yourself, I highly recommend you watch his playthroughs of them and many of the other playthroughs he has on his channel. He is very thorough with his playthroughs. To end this, I want to say thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this and have a great day. Also, I want to add, I've dropped a toilet lid before and it is not that quiet.